In the video series of neurology medicine, today I will discuss the difference between meningitis and encephalitis. So what is the main difference? First of all, we should know what is meningitis. Meningitis is the inflammation of meninges, right? It is the inflammation of meninges, but it is not complete definition, right? What is meninges? Meninges are the layers which surround the brain and spinal cord. So let's say if this is brain and this is spinal cord, so the brain, just adherent to the brain, there is just adherent to the brain and spinal cord, there is pia mater, right? And after pia mater, there is another layer, that is arachnoid matter. So inside there is pia mater, then there is arachnoid matter. So after arachnoid matter, there is dura mater, which is adherent to the skull. So just inside, from inside to outside, there is pia mater, arachnoid matter and dura mater. And keep in mind, the pia mater and arachnoid matter, these are very thin membrane, they are delicate membrane, but dura mater is very thick membrane and it is very tough, right? Now the arachnoid matter and pia mater, collectively it is called as leptomeninges. So arachnoid matter and pia mater along with CSF. Now the CSF, the in between the pia mater and arachnoid, there is trabecular meshwork, and this trabecular meshwork, it consists of CSF. So when we talk about the leptomeninges, so leptomeninges consist of arachnoid matter, pia mater and the CSF, which is present within the subarachnoid space. So keep in mind, the arachnoid matter, pia mater and the CSF, collectively it is called as leptomeninges. Now basically, the meningitis is the inflammation of leptomeninges. It's important. When we say meningitis, so conventionally speaking, we are talking about the leptomeningitis. So basically, meningitis is the inflammation of leptomeninges. And what is leptomeninges? Leptomeninges are arachnoid matter, pia mater and CSF. Now, but what happened when there is inflammation within the dura mater? Whenever inflammation confined to dura mater, then that is called as, if inflammation confined to dura mater, then that is called as, yes, that is pachymeningitis. So it's important. Then that is called as pachymeningitis. Actually, what is the main difference between meningitis and encephalitis? When we see both these terminologies, it consists of diffuse inflammation or generalized inflammation. So the meningitis is the generalized or diffuse inflammation of leptomeninges. But if I talk about encephalitis, encephalitis is also diffuse or generalized inflammation, but that is confined to brain parenchyma. So in a nutshell, we can say meningitis is the generalized or diffuse inflammation of leptomeninges, and encephalitis is the diffuse or generalized inflammation in the brain parenchyma. What is the difference between cerebritis and cerebral abscess? So as we discussed earlier, the meningitis and encephalitis are the diffuse inflammation, but the cerebritis and cerebral abscess, these are localized inflammation, right? So let's say if this is brain and there is localized infection, if there is local inflammatory reaction occur in the certain part of brain, but that inflammatory reaction is not encapsulated, then that is called as cerebritis. So basically in cerebritis, it consists of inflammatory reaction in brain parenchyma which is not encapsulated. In cerebral abscess, the local inflammatory reaction occur in brain parenchyma and the patchy infiltrate, it is encapsulated. So when it encapsulated, then it is called as cerebral abscess. So how we can define cerebral abscess? When the local inflammatory reaction occur in brain which is encapsulated. So these are the important difference between the cerebritis and cerebral abscess.